So I've been watching a few other people's YouTube videos and about subscribing to other people's YouTubes, and there was this one guy that was relatively intelligent, soft-spoken, seemed like a nice enough fellow, but he's ignorant to the prospects of socialism, Marxism, things like that. I mean, that's typical in Western society. You're indoctrinated at a young age to think that communism is just mass murderers and cartoon supervillains. Like, they literally just plot around in a dark room about how they're going to starve millions. Really? You know, if anything, capitalists do that because they have a profit motive. What motive would communists have to do that? What motive would a government that needs the people's backing in order to sustain themselves have a motivation to starve and kill you? I mean, it makes sense in capitalism, like I said, because you have a profit to worry about. You have to worry about the means of production. The people have no relevance in that matter. I mean, you need people to continue the means of production, but you need people a lot less because you are not the will of the people, you are the will of yourself. So, fuck the people. But in a communist society, well, a real communist society, the people would own the means of production, and thus people would be of the utmost importance. But in a socialist economy, the government owns the means of production, and thereby, since the government reflects the people and needs the people in order to have something to govern and something to represent, there would be no need to kill people anyway. Now, mind you, this is not to say that the government can't have corruption, but it's a minuscule point in comparison to the plight of capitalism. A thing that comes to mind is like how he said, good luck finding toilet paper in a Marxist economy. Why would there be a lack of toilet paper? If there are people willing to produce toilet paper because it's pretty much a necessity of life, and people are not going to walk around with dirty assholes, why would there not be toilet paper? Now, you could say the same thing in capitalism, but in capitalism, they can charge money for toilet paper, and they can charge whatever price they want to. So some people could theoretically be too poor to afford toilet paper. Now, mind you, toilet paper isn't all that expensive, but when you consider all the other things you have to pay for and shit like that, yeah, it's not toilet paper that's the problem. It's education. It's healthcare. It's things like that because you can't afford everything. And because of that, you are always having to make sacrifices. You are always having to reprioritize things. And that is no way to live your life. Why should you have to? You contribute to society. You work hard. Why aren't you entitled to the same things as everybody else? And when there's more than enough means to have it, there is no finite resource problem. There are enough resources on the planet to sustain life for humans and pretty much for every animal. If we were just intelligent about it, if we were not motivated by greed and, just murderous intent, then there'd be no problem. I sincerely stick by that there is enough minerals and means and technological advancement to keep everybody satisfied, to keep everybody well off, well fed, well taken care of, etc. But that is not convenient for the capitalist elite. So we come back to this toilet paper issue because it's related to another issue. That under communism, you're not going to do a job that you like. You're going to be forced into doing some hard labor. And, people have their excuses like, do you want to be a janitor even though you have a doctorate or whatever? People have to do that fucking anyway. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are a lot of college students who come out of college with debt up to their eyeballs and working at fucking McDonald's. And the only thing they're doing by going to college is raising the bar for future employees. Yes, by you going to college, you're actually motivating McDonald's to say that we need a fucking bachelor's degree to flip burgers. So, no, I would not suggest you go to college. I would not suggest that somehow the capitalist mode of production is equal or better to the communist mode of production. It makes no fucking sense. You're working at a job you don't like anyway. So is that the worst possibility? That it's just as bad as capitalism? But now you have a guaranteed house to live in, you have guaranteed health care, you have more direct control over the means of production and the law system because you are an equal participant within society. You are not looked down upon, you are not of a different class. It is not based on classes. It's based on people. Everybody is equal. Everybody has equal say. Everybody has equal political power. Whereas in the capitalist mode of production, the only people that have political power are those with money, because those with money control the land and the resources, and to a lesser extent the government. The government that is ordained to keep everything in check, and guess who they answer to? Those that actually own the land, because without the land, they have nothing to fucking govern. So, the issue here is that does government represent you, or does government represent the elite? The very minuscule amount. That is the argument between a capitalist mode of production and a socialist mode of production. We don't even need to talk about Marxism. We don't even need to talk about communism because you're not ready for that. You are not ready to accept a world where we're all actually equal, where you don't need to prove yourself, where, you don't need to kiss a lot of ass and work your fucking ass off for nothing anyway, and, just somehow so people see that you have value, like you somehow need to, like you're obligated, like they're your fucking god or something. So you're not mentally prepared for that. So what I'm just telling you about is the socialist mode of production, where if the government was the one running everything, well then you wouldn't have all these problems to begin with anyway, because you would take out the middleman of capitalists dictating to the government how things should be ran, and having of no consequence what happens to their workers. So that's my answer to people that think that, oh, under communism you would have to do a shit job. Well, you have a shit job. Even if you're an intelligent, well-educated person, you probably just have a white-collar shit job working behind a cubicle for fucking Google so that they can make another few billion. But meanwhile, you get a measly wage that's just above minimum wage. And if libertarians and them had their way, you wouldn't even have fucking that. And you would have to rely on what they feel like paying you. So, that's just something to think about.